Welcome back to MVM. Today we're doing our most anticipated games for 2019. We've run at this about 5 or 6 times now. We got laughing hysterically. We listened to ourselves at half speed on some of our videos. We recommend you doing it. But today we're going to be counting down our top games for 2019. The ones we're anticipating anyway. We each have 5, so collectively it's like 20. But these could be ones we're looking... Yeah, exactly. 4 times 5. These are going to be games we're looking forward to playing, looking forward to just finally delivering, maybe from Kickstarter, all sorts of things. So to kick things off, we're going to start with Ryan.
Yeah, my number 5 would be one that I'm really excited about, but there is not a lot of information about this out there. But Heaven and Ale is getting an expansion this year. And Heaven and Ale was one of my favorite games the year it came out. I've probably played Heaven and Ale 30 plus times.
Wow.
Yeah, I love that game, and I'm just excited to have new content. I don't know what this new content's going to look like because there's no information on it, but anything that we can add in to breathe life back into that game, I'm excited about.
Yeah, I'd be interested to see. I'm just trying to think. There's nothing that occurs to me like, well, there's an obvious expansion that they could do. That's interesting.
And they say a timetable on that? Is it like Essen?
Sometime this year. Probably, I would imagine Essen, but they haven't said yet. Just that it's coming this year.
All right. My number 5, Legacy games are all the rage. We just completed Betrayal Legacy this year. It was our number 1 for us 3. So why not add Clank Legacy, right?
Yeah.
So this is an enigma. No one really knows much about it other than Direwolf is creating it, and it's going to have cards that you can upgrade and sticker and will carry along with you throughout.
Probably
Clank.
stuff to rip up, maybe?
Yeah, I mean, Clank was one of those games that came out of nowhere, and everyone loved it, and it's kind of fallen off because the nature of board games now, if it's 6 months old, it's old.
Right.
Well, and they've got a lot of expansions and then like Clank in Space and things like that, so it'll be interesting
But this one's exciting. I'm ready
excited
for
that
it.
one
Cool.
too.
My number 5 is a little interesting. It's not one that I'm necessarily looking forward to as a play experience, but I backed Street Fighter the Miniatures game.
Interesting.
And I did so largely, as I'm sure a lot of people did, for the miniatures. Not that I'm going to use them or play with them, but I want these to see how good they turn out because the ones on the Kickstarter page looked amazing.
Incredible looking. Yeah, for sure. That was right there. I'd get it just for the miniatures.
And that's kind of what I was thinking. And I did watch a couple of videos to see what the game was like, and it looks just about like any of those types of miniature games would be, maybe a little different, but it's not exactly in our wheelhouse. But we'll find out when it delivers because I've got a copy coming, and I'm interested to see if the game is any good.
Which level did you back where you got all of them, or just?
I did not back the one. So there's one you could back to get like every characters I didn't even know.
Right.
Like so, I played Street Fighter 2 and then a little after that. I didn't play to where they had There's a bunch of characters I was not familiar with, so I was like, I'm fine with not getting those. But still,
you've got all the
it comes with
ones,
like 36. The one I got comes with 36
cool.
or some crazy different miniatures. So
yeah. So well, I love fighting games when it comes to video games, and so I was looking at that as well. So mine is actually a fighting type simulation that I worked on when I was with Colossal called Combo Fighter.
Oh yeah.
It was a little Kickstarter, but it's a really cool little game. I really love fighting games, and I felt like it did a very good job of bringing that. It's very rock, paper, scissors and how you go about it, but the art is really cool, and I just actually still play the prototype, so that's going to be coming in this year, and I'm really looking forward to that one.
Cool.
Interesting. So my number 4 is also a legacy game, and this is Machi Koro Legacy. And I will say Machi Koro is a game I don't enjoy playing Machi Koro. I really, there's a lot I don't like about it, but after what Rob Davio did with Betrayal Legacy, and though he put such a fresh and interesting spin on that game, I'm just putting full faith that he is going to turn a game I don't like into an experience that I might really enjoy.
Is he involved in it?
Yeah, he's designing Machi Koro Legacy.
No
I'm super excited to see what he does with this, and I'm going to give it a try, despite how I feel about Machi Koro, and I think maybe he's going to change my mind.
I think that's really interesting. Like legacy games in general, they allow you to buy into the concept of like the whole upgrading, like that whole ability to take something that's yours, inherently yours, and then upgrade it, and then revisit those same cards or components within the game. Is really interesting. So if they do that with Machi Koro and they allow you to grow your city,
well, that's what I'm really hoping.
Progressive, games. That's very interesting.
Yeah, that's the whole ownership concept, right?
Yeah.
You get more and more invested every time you play.
Basically, I'll just trust Rob Davio at this point. I think he's going to deliver a solid experience.
Cool. My number 4, So Shem Phillips from Garfield Games, he has done a variety of different games, Raiders of the North Sea, and then last year, which was the Darling Architects of the West Kingdom, that a lot of people loved. I've read through the entire rules of Paladins of the West Kingdom. He sent a early version of the rule book that I read through last night. It's a very interesting game. You have every turn you're going to be getting 3 paladins. You pick one of those 3 paladins, you use it, which is going to give you 3 unique abilities. The other 2 paladins, one you place on top of your deck, that could be your next turn. The other one you put on the bottom. No, you're probably not going to see that for the rest of the game. It's a worker placement game, but it's also kind of an engine building game. So through the course of the game, you're going to be building your engine and doing a variety of different things. It's a 26-page rule book, which is about twice the size of any of his other rule books. So it's a heavier Euro game for sure. Looks very, very interesting.
And just to make it clear, this is not an expansion, right? This
is
a
a brand new
standalone
game.
thing?
This is a brand new game called Paladins of the West Kingdom. So I'm very interested in seeing what he does. I loved Raiders of the North Sea. Still one of my favorite worker placement games.
Yeah, that'll be
It does a lot with so little, and this looks like it does the same.
Paladins will be big, especially off the success of Architects last year. So for my number 4, I'm going to see your Machikoro Legacy and up you a Space Base expansion.
Okay, right.
Space Base, and if I hopefully get this right, The Emergence of Shy Pluto is the name of the expansion.
Not to be confused with Pluto Nash.
No, not absolutely not. Although I do have an Eddie Murphy game coming up. No, this is an expansion for Space Base, but from what I understand, it brings not legacy, but kind of a campaign aspect to Space Base.
Like a narrative?
I really don't know all the details. I just know that there's going to be cards and things you can unlock as you play, and you can play from session to session, right? So not legacy, but I think more campaign aspect, which I really dig the idea of taking Space Base, which is a really fun sort of bite-sized game that you can get in and get out of, and doing a little bit more with it. I really enjoy the game.
Space Base is good.
Yeah.
Space Base is really good.
Space Base is fantastic.
Yep.
Yeah, so I'm looking forward to that. It's an expansion, but it's on my list.
2 expansions now.
Yep.
Wow. All right. Well, anyone that knows me knows that I love tiny epic games from Gamelin Games, and with that comes a love of Scott Alms. So when I saw Lovelace and Babbage go up on Kickstarter last year, it was an instant back for me. I'm really excited to see that hit my table this year when it delivers. It's a little programming game. It goes back to the dawn of computing, and I think it looked like a very fun twist on bringing you back to the history around that. There's a lot of, for those of you that don't know about the history of computing, there's female characters involved and things like that, and they did a really good job of highlighting that. And so I'm just excited to see that and see something from him outside of the Tiny Epic series.
You played that game, right? You really liked it.
No, I know. I
was it
didn't.
that one? It was Speakeasy
I played
Blues,
Speakeasy
think.
Blues
Yeah,
and really liked.
Yeah.
This is
Okay.
also Artana.
Yeah.
Different designer though, but yeah, I did like Speakeasy Blues.
Very cool. All right.
Yeah, that sounds really cool. The history I didn't know either.
We didn't know that Babbage's was related to the Babbage's computer store.
I worked at a Babbage's computer store, and I had
So
no
fun.
idea it was named after that person.
That's
It's just
awesome.
Yeah,
crazy.
so yeah, I think the history part alone right there is really cool to bring that to the table, and I think the game itself, I've heard really good things about it. So
Sweet.
My number 3 is Skulk Hollow, which is coming out this year.
Almost on my list.
We played an early version of Skulk Hollow that came with, I think, maybe 1 or 2
Just a couple.
villains that you could play as. This game is crazy good. I mean, it feels like a cartoony Shadow of the Colossus where one player is playing like a ragtag group of animals trying to take down like this giant
Colossus.
basically. Another player plays the Colossus, and every Colossus is unique, has a unique deck, affects the board in unique ways, different strategies on defeating it, and you can choose different heroes to play on the hero side. So every game is just vastly different, and the art is great, the graphic design is great, the gameplay is super smooth. Like I wanted to play it again immediately, so I think I'm going to be playing this game a ton when it comes out.
Absolutely.
That
It
was
was a lot
a
of fun.
really pleasant surprise when we played that prototype
Super
earlier.
asymmetrical.
Yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't play anything like Santorini, but there's things about it where it felt really different because the Colossus feels so different from one another.
Yeah.
It feels like cycling through all the different hero cards in Santorini because it completely changes how you have to play the game.
It's another one of those games. We've been talking about these games that can be infinitely expanded. That's one of those games you just keep
for
adding
sure.
Oh, for
different
sure.
Colossus.
Yeah, I'm
and keep
hoping it's
playing it.
successful enough to have a punch. That'd
I'm
be
sure it
sweet.
will be.
All right, my number 3 is Sleeping Gods. This is Ryan Lockett's next big game. I had a very interesting email conversation with him a week or 2 ago about the game. He's been working on this for about 5 years.
Wow.
This is a long process for him. It's called a storybook atlas game in which you'll be playing on the actual map, very much like Near and Far. But as you progress in the story, you're going to be flipping that book over and doing and continuing that story as you go. It's labeled as a 1 to 2 player game from 60 to 2,500 minutes.
Wow.
So I imagine this is going to be a very lengthy experience. He's saying that each game is going to be about a 2-hour experience. It can be played solo or it can be played with another player and maybe played with more. He's not quite sure, but it looks really interesting. And if you guys know, I've been watching this channel, I've been delving in really deep with story-based games, and this seems like the type of game that I would absolutely love to play.
Yeah, for sure.
So
yeah, I don't know much about it, but that one also came close to making my list.
right.
So my number 3 is yet another expansion. This one I didn't know anything about until this morning.
Really?
And that is Bunny Kingdom, Cloud Kingdom.
Oh, yeah.
So they have an expansion coming for Bunny Kingdom. Don't know too much about it, except it does have basically another board that represents sort of a kingdom in the clouds. And there's going to be ways of tying back and forth and expanding the little fiefs that you make on the board up into the clouds as well. And probably even better than that, it comes with a bunch more cards. So that game is one of the most beautiful drafting games, in my opinion.
So good. That makes me want to play Bunny Kingdom.
It does. Going through that draft and like picking what cards, even with 7 Wonders, I don't feel the same sort of tension where I'm like, I'll take these 2. Oh,
but
I'm giving them all these cards.
Yeah.
So that tension there is so awesome. So I can't wait to play more of it and get it back to the table, like you said.
Cool.
All right, so I already said Scott Alms and Tiny Epic, so I'll go ahead and get it out of the way. It's Tiny Epic Mechs. I'm really excited for that one. That's the newest one that hit Kickstarter last year, so it'll be delivering this year. It's another programming game. Just the little mechs themselves and the upgrading and putting the weapons on them since they introduced the item meeples just looks like just a lot of fun, and I think there's a lot of expandability with that. So as they always put out an expansion or 2 for each of their titles, I see a lot of really good things coming for that one as well.
Yeah, I liked the more than just the items in the hands. I like the mechs.
Yeah.
Like the whole concept of putting your meeple inside the little mech was a really cool advancement with this one.
Yeah, it's enjoyable, and then also the character art is really nice as well as you flip the character from being out of the mech suit and into the mech suit. I think the final production of this is really going to shine. So
Cool.
All right, number 2. Mine is Court of the Dead Mourner's Call, which we played this game a couple times last year, an early prototype. Yeah, the theme of the game came together really well. I think the minis are great. The art is great. The gameplay, it's drafting, area control, variable player powers. I mean, there's just a ton going on. I love the way it handles the draft of those like really powerful cards that basically can just completely change the gameplay, and they're all multi-use, and there's just a ton going on in that game, and I'm really excited to play it again. I've played it I think 3 or 4 times now, and every game has been vastly satisfying for me.
Yeah, I feel that game, I still will say this, it feels to me like it's a close cousin to any of Eric Lang's big games.
Those are some of my favorite games.
It feels like a Blood Rage or a Rising Sun. It's right in there in that same realm, in my opinion.
All right, so my number 2 I talked about at the tail end of last year a lot. Can you guys have any idea what this is? It was a Kickstarter game.
Well,
I know what it is.
This is your number 2?
This is my number 2.
I know what it is.
I know what it is.
I know what it is.
Tainted Grail.
Yeah,
for sure.
So this did like 5 million, 4 million on Kickstarter.
Yeah.
It is millions and millions of dollars. It's Awaken Realms' next big game. They did Lords of Hellas. They did Nemesis, which I know you just recently played. This, again, is a story-based game. It takes place on Arthurian legend, although it's a very twisted Arthurian legend. Without giving too much away about the game or what it's talking about, you're going to be going to different locations. These locations are card-based, and you'll be flipping them over to see what the cards are on the backside. Each of these different locations is going to have some kind of story implementation within a large book. And the way that you play the game is going to affect different parts of the map or the cards. So you may go to different locations. There's going to be numerous different cards for the same location. You may only see one of those cards depending upon your actions with something else in the game. It's Euro-based, though, which is fantastic. And the combat in the game, it's a no-luck style game. So you're going to be using cards to do combat, and you're going to be chaining these cards to be able to affect the different creatures. It's super interesting. Artwork is fantastic. They said over 2,000 pieces of unique art in the game. And that's on cards, right? That's
mind-blowing.
in the book. it looks fantastic.
Unprecedented, almost.
Yeah,
I think.
it's going to be a huge production, and I cannot wait for people to start playing this game because I think they're going to be. I think it's going to hit a lot of people's #1 list.
I want to
next
play.
year.
It's going to hit a lot of people's list because like over 40,000 people backed
No
it.
kidding. Well, and you
Sure.
were really stingy with it when it came in. We didn't get to play it.
Right.
So, I mean,
It's still over there?
Definitely,
All right.
I will play it.
Definitely looking forward to playing that one.
Yeah, that one looks good.
All right.
All right, my number 2 is another Kickstarter from last year that is delivering this year, and this one is D6. We actually did feature this
that one
on
too.
our first look earlier late last year, and this one is from Certifiable Studios, the same people who did Who Goes There. I love their art, I love the concept, and I absolutely love their sense of humor down there. The game is kind of like a light entry-level Dungeons and Dragons that doesn't take itself seriously whatsoever, with really, really fantastic art. So looking forward to that.
And if you're not following Certifiable Studios on social media,
Yeah.
you need to be. I mean, these are some of
yeah.
the funniest guys
They are.
in the industry.
You
and
could
it
watch their
shows in
Kickstarter
games.
updates. They put videos on their Kickstarter page that are just funny. Even if you have
Yeah.
no interest in their game
Right.
whatsoever,
Yeah.
it's just funny stuff.
The campaign was run really well.
Yeah.
The art's great. Yeah, it's definitely one I'm looking forward to as well. So my next one is also a Kickstarter from last year that should be delivering this year called Tang Garden. I did not get a chance to play that when you guys had it here, but I remember I backed that one purely off looking at it.
beautiful
Everything
looking.
about it looked amazing, and I just am really just anticipating how the production comes through. It's a very Zen-like game from my understanding, which I enjoy those from time to time, even though I typically like some more mean games, but I do like that. I've have other games like that in my on my shelf. So I think just seeing how all those pieces come together and really how well that's going to translate to out of the box, I'm looking forward to that.
There's a visual element to that game that's so appealing, building that 3D landscape, having those panoramas that go around
Yeah.
the outside of the board.
It's gorgeous.
I'm interested to see how hard it is to reach in and grab them, but we played the prototype, and it was pretty smooth from
Yeah,
Yeah.
beginning
no, it was
to
really
end.
smooth, and it will be cool to see what the finished product looks like.
Absolutely.
Because even the prototype we had was really, really nice.
Really well done, yeah. Well, number one,
My
here it
number,
is.
my number one was just recently finally announced to the public, and this is Double So Clever or Twice as Clever, which is the sequel to Gauntschon Clever, which is coming out this year from Wolfgang Warsch.
But we've played this one.
We have
many
played
times.
this one, but there's
He's still anticipating it.
like
I know.
this is my number one. This is the game I'm probably going to be playing the most this year. We've played a prototype of it, and it took what I love about Gauntschon Clever and elevated it to a new level. And when that app comes out, you know I'm going to be playing that app
Yes, we did.
religiously.
Yes.
So
You're playing
You might be more
one
interested in
now.
the app than you are the physical game.
I mean,
Yeah.
right? Well, I mean, really, because it's so easy to just pick that up, and I still play the Gons app when I'm just have a little bit of time
We're
to
playing
kill.
it
So
right before we started.
I was actually
Exactly.
just chilling, playing it before we started. It's just, I mean, I know we've played it, but I'm excited to get the real retail version. I'm excited for it to get out in the world and for people to start strategizing and figuring out the best paths through this one. So I love the community around the game.
He does love it. When,
I really
when the
do.
camera
I
is
mean-
on the rest of us, Ryan's actually over there playing it on his
Check
app.
it real quick.
All right, my number one should be absolutely zero surprise to anyone who's watched this channel. I think it's been my number one for the past 2 years. I think it's the third year running. Still not out.
Shouldn't that disqualify it?
I don't know.
It should.
It's actually it's weird because some games that I had on my list have dropped off, but this one will never drop off. It is
Until it
from,
finally comes out.
Yeah, it is Black Angel. It is from the same designers that did Trois, which is my number one game of all time and has been since 2011 when the game came out. I don't know a whole lot about the game other than it is a worker placement done by the same designers. It takes place in a sci-fi universe. There seems to be a small campaign aspect to it as well. And artwork's by Ian O'Toole, and there's been some issues online. People think it's too weird or too strange
It
for
is
a
a
Euro
unique.
game.
It's a unique looking
I
graphic
dig
design.
it. I
I dig
totally
it
dig
too.
it. I think his art is really fantastic, and I think it just kind of caters to what kind of game it probably is. I can't wait. These designers, they did Carson City, they did Tournai, they did Ginkopolis, they did Trois, as I just mentioned. These guys know how to make a good Euro game. And
This is a
I
big
cannot
game.
wait.
Like
Yeah.
if you're a Euro fan, this is probably, if not at the top of your list, it's near the top of your list for sure.
Yeah.
And I would have been on mine. I just knew you'd be talking about it, so I didn't put it on mine either.
Hopefully it comes
yeah.
out this year.
It's supposed to.
Hopefully.
It will.
It's supposed to come out
I
this
think
year.
it will. I think it will. My number one is I'm still anticipating this because I haven't played it. but I've been absorbing it for the last like 2.5 weeks since I ordered a copy, and that is Wingspan. Wingspan to me is going to be this sweet spot game for me this year, because you'll be able to play this game with anyone, in my opinion. And from what I've heard, reports of people who have played it, some of the videos I've watched, I've read the rule book. I even got on Tabletopia today, and they have it on there. You can try it out. It's this beautiful little engine builder. I'm sure you've all heard of it already. But it's kind of like a light to medium type experience. I really can't wait to get this to the table. I should be getting a copy. In fact, I think both of us have copies coming. Late next week, so we're gonna get it to the table very soon. But yeah, it looks like, and it is a gorgeous looking game. And I don't care about birds in the least, but when I look at this, I'm reminded, and this is gonna show my age. Remember those old little things you get, those index cards, like scientific card collections?
Oh, yeah.
Remember those? It reminds me of that for birds. There's like 177 or so different cards with all different birds on it, so it looks fun.
Yeah, I think even Ella, if she was on Instagram talking about it, and we had talked about possibly doing it for a live stream, Ryan and I. So I think it looks great. I'm really excited to play it. So my number one, I feel like it's probably not a surprise because I have been talking about it a lot, even just in the last couple of weeks, is Dice Throne Season 3. So they teased this image.
I forgot that one.
Yeah, I thought you might have. So they teased this image. I know something new and different is coming. Not to mention, just if it was just purely new characters, I would be fine. I would be totally fine with just purely new characters. But I know something different is coming to this.
Well, the
game.
little tease, I'm maybe reading too much into it, but the tease makes it seem like there's maybe a cooperative aspect to it. It seems like you're fighting something like a boss.
Some sort of campaign.
That'd be awesome. Or
something.
could you imagine a campaign that would be sweet? Or
Right?
Well, not Legacy. I mean,
Like a campaign where you go through a series of villains and
it was the tease for that
keep
reason.
your upgrades.
And I've seen plenty of speculation, and there is a community on Facebook. If you are a Dice Throne fan and you're not a part of that Facebook group, you totally should be. And I'm not burned out at all in Season 1 or Season 2, but boy, am I ready for more characters already. Just a lot of fun to play.
I can't imagine no matter what they do, whether it is bosses, that they won't add new characters in addition
for
to
sure.
whatever they do. It
Absolutely.
seems like a no-brainer.
At a certain point, it's like they're going to have a challenge coming up with new and unique characters. But it is so awesome. Even just the characters they have right now will give you a long, long time of gaming.
For sure. And I think that I have a whole bunch of thoughts about what they could potentially be doing. They could be bringing, we saw companions in the Season 2, so they might be bringing companions to older characters, maybe refreshing somebody, maybe bringing new ones. The image alone indicated at least one new character. That's not a character shadow that I recognize.
right.
Well, we've also saw the boss since Season 1, that guy sitting on the throne, whoever he is. That could be.
background,
Oh, that's true. He's not really in the game, is he?
right.
Yeah, so Dice Throne Season 3, absolutely my number one most anticipated.
I'm kicking myself. I didn't think of that one.
Will that ship this? Will that come
Well, it goes
out
to
this
Kickstarter
year?
at least this year. Who knows?
Well,
I don't know if they'll actually
My
release
Season
it.
2 I backed last year and got before the end
Yeah.
of the year.
That's true.
So I'm
That's
hoping
true.
we're in the same situation for 2019.
Cool. Well, that sounds like Dice Throne stole the show here.
Yeah. And there's so many good games coming out. We could
Yeah.
probably make a list that was at least 10 each. Well, cool. Well, that is our most anticipated games of 2019. By all means, make your predictions below on the games that you feel are in your top 5 or top 10. Make fun of us for whatever games we may put in there.
Or just in general.
And follow us on Twitter, like us on Facebook, and everything else that we do. And we will catch you guys next time.
Bye-bye.